Hello and welcome. I'm Bill Wake. Here we're working on a couple of, we're working on a program to compute the similarity of tunes. And we're going to work today on finishing off numbered endings. So in music, you sometimes have something where you repeat something and you play one ending the first time through and a different ending the second time through. We added support for lists and ranges yesterday. There's a little leftover work I want to do in terms of what happens if there's a gap or things like that. So we'll take care of that today. And then I want to go through and find some real tunes. So I've got some I found already. There's archives. Take care of that today. Whoops. And then I want to go through and find some real tunes. So you think I'd get better at that. All right. So anyway, there's a bunch of archives that have tunes in them. And I picked a couple just that tunes I know. And here's Britches Full of Stitches. It's an Irish session tune, commonly kind of a beginner's tune, but that's okay. And we've got the sheet music or the ABC. That's the input format we're using. And this one has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 versions. Okay, so we'd like to compare them. And, you even just looking at these two, this one starts on a D and this one starts on an E. They're not perfectly the same, okay? But the shape is somewhat similar, going up, 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 down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Okay, so we can try this ABC. It'll take a little work to assemble, but we'll find out if there's any constructs we don't yet support, or I should say we'll find out if this song uses any we don't yet support, because there are a bunch. And another one, Duck Rivers, another song. Looks like 3 or 4 versions there. Okay. But we'll give those a go. And I can see already there's going to be some issue for us, but okay. All right. Let's see where we are here. All right, so first question, what if hey, welcome back, the Werner archives. What if there are gaps in the variant list? Okay, so if I have 1, 3, and 5 for the first endings, it's a list with a range, and then I have 2 for the second ending. I didn't list anything for 4, and sorry, let's make a real gap in here. Let's make this 6. Okay, so now I didn't list anything for 2, and what should we do? Well, I think one plausible way would be to say, let's just do 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. That might be the best. Another would be like, oh, we should warn them they don't have what they want. I don't know, we might. Another way would be to say, well, there should be a 2. If you don't have it, maybe take the 1 instead. I don't know. Any of those would be legitimate. All right. I think my favorite would be just use the ones they gave us and not really complain, but I don't know, somebody could argue the other way. So let's do this with a test. And I think events to parts will be enough. So this is, we've parsed something, and how are we going to do it? No, it's really not event to part test. It's really something else. Note line parser. Well, would that be all right? No, I really am asking some other question. So let me figure out where the right place for this is. I suppose I should look here. So it's kind of a domain test. Maybe it's a measure test. Okay, so basically a thing you can do is, well, if you have the symbols, that doesn't sound right. Doesn't sound like the right place. We somehow can ask, what are the measure symbols? I think I need something at a higher level than that. Part order tests. Nope, that's just the part names. Okay, we got endings. right. This might be okay. Part dot measures CDE, CDF. Okay, so that's an ending 1. CD ending 1 is 1. CD ending 2 is F. Okay, let's go find this. Just curious what I can think it does. All right, measures. Well, there was a function measures. There it is. Okay, so repeats. Effective endings for each ending result contents of body measures. Well, we're running through effective endings. I guess that's endings.all. Endings key sorted. Okay, so we probably do what I thought we should do. I will accept that. Let's make sure this works. Okay, so we got the common part is C and D, fine. Endings 1, 3, 4, 5. Remember, our ranges get turned into the actual numbers. And 6. So given that, I don't think I care about them. This might even be a better test this way. Measures for repetition with omitted endings. Measures with omitted endings, just ignore them. Or just leave them out. Omitted, say numbered endings, just leave them out. Okay, so 1 and 3, E, we're assembling the part with the common part and the measures. So we expect CDE, and then the same thing again because measure ending 3 is there. Okay. CDE, CDE, CDF. Okay. Yeah, I think that's what we expect. Right? The 2 that are there, skip over 2, 4, and 5, and just do 6. All right. And this we will test. We do want it to pass. Okay. Let's make sure they all pass. I guess we could have gone for 8 minutes longer yesterday and done this instead of whatever we did at the end. All right. So we check that measures with omitted numbered endings, just ignore them, just leave them out. Okay, so what if there are gaps? This is 23-29, March 28th. What are gaps? Just leave them out. Okay. i.e. include only the ones that are there. Variant endings is probably better than repeats there. And it was probably a better name for yesterday's work too. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. Now I have a couple things. One is I keep chewing on this parser thing. It's all right. Let me go back to the grammar. So the way the grammar works, I mean, I'm guessing you probably have at least a little background, or it won't make much sense. But this symbol says repeat one or more times, and then we're choosing one of these characters, and is a sequence, and then optional ending numbers, and that whole thing pipes into barline handler that's going to decode all this. Each of these fragmentary parsers gathers data. So one of gathers a single character, plus one of gathers an array of characters. An and generally gathers a list, I mean, a tuple, although there's some other stuff that can go on. And then optional gives us an optional value, in this case, ending numbers, is a whole complicated thing. Now, so barline handler gets a type. I mean, these things, you can pipe to an inline function and you get stuff from the other pieces. Okay, so in effect, I think one thing we could do is kind of mix and match the barline handler. Like this thing could be its own piece, produce an event, and then the sequence could produce, well, maybe, yeah, produce an event, in this case, a barline event. And then if they're ending numbers, it can produce an ending event. Instead, I've boiled them or got them all together. Now, it wasn't so bad when it was a few bar lines and a few digits, okay? Now it's, it's this tuple with an array embedded in it, and the second argument of the tuple is an optional array with an array and an optional array of characters. It's an awful lot to make sense of, and it bugs me. I think we can do better. I mean, one thing, it's minor, but we could get this piece out of there. Yeah, it definitely, at least this piece, okay? And every little piece we can chew off takes care of more. Now, what, well, okay. So arrange, let's see what we can do. Well, maybe I should do that. If I can break this out a little. It's a challenge. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to say, let's do this first. That and parenthesis. Okay. So I'm putting another level in, and I'm going to make sure that it works. I don't know, it's pretty trivial refactoring wise, put parens around an expression that doesn't need parens. Okay, and now I want to do a pipe to it. I want to say pipe to, and this can be inline like this one down here. Well, this one gets a character or sequence of characters. Okay. I guess in our case, we're getting a array of characters. Okay. So I can write code that takes an array of characters in some chunk of code, and that's going to return this. I think it could just return that. and this becomes chars. Okay, so piping out to characters, let's break it up this way. Okay, yeah, so now we have an event coming in, and this thing should be saying I got an event. Yeah, there's event. Okay, so we can simplify barline handler a little. This becomes event. Okay, because we parsed it, matched the one of whatever, and then we immediately did the semantic rule that says pipe this to something that transforms that, and it transforms it into a barline event, okay, which is just an event. So now this, let's make result equal bar lines and digits dot zero. Okay, so the first thing in the tuple is an event. All right, so this should just work. Good. Okay, so make bar lines parse, well, transform to an event before handing to barline handler. Okay, not my best message ever. Okay, so that put a tiny bit of work. Well, it moved it from that method to here. Now I want to do something similar. I would love I would love to have a routine that took this expression and produced, well, it would be nice to just get an array of digits out of it. Okay, now we've done that here inside this. So I'm going to copy this. Okay. And I'm not giving it as complicated of a thing. I'm giving it plenty complicated because this is optional. 0 or more digits followed by optional dash and 1 or more digits kind of thing. It's moderately complicated. This is our second one. Let's make ending number handler. I don't know, that word may be getting too much. I'm going to change this to just, let's call this ending numbers. Okay, and it's no longer a tuple because this first thing goes away. So let's take away this last parenthesis and this. Okay. And what I think it should produce is an array event. Okay, so there's numbers sub 0 and 1 kind of swapped here. The list of ranges is ending numbers dot 1. Well, that's dot 0. Because the whole thing is optional. Well, it's not dot 0, it's just ending numbers. Okay, it's an optional argument. This one goes away. Well, no, I guess we can make our int array here. let's start it empty. We don't have any numbers yet. Okay, so it returns an array of ints. We start with none. If there are no things coming in, then we end with none. All right, that seems right. All numbers is what I called result here. Okay. So all numbers, let's return that. Okay, starts empty, returns empty. We're going to go through things. Now at the end, well, we don't need to check it. We're going to let somebody else check it. Okay, we're just going to return all numbers. Right. Okay. So given the first number and an optional second number with a dash in the middle, and then there may be none or whatever of these. Okay. So I think that one is doing the right thing. So let's say, let's make that here, ending numbers, pipes 2, and I think I called it ending number handler. Ending number handler. Okay. Now, barline handler is not, it's getting something much simpler. It's getting an event and an array of ints. See if it kind of says that. Event, array of ints should produce an array of events. Okay. Let's simplify barline handler. Now, I consider this refactoring, but it's a manual refactoring. Oops, and I've still got something wrong. Oh, just that. Okay. It is a manual refactoring, so I'll have to be careful about it. But I've got int, and now the arguments to this thing are much simpler. It's array event. Event and array of event. Okay, and produces array of event. Okay, I'm going to rename this barline and numbers. Ending numbers. Let's be a little explicit. Okay, so now the result starts out that we know we have an event. Okay, and then I think we wanted all this work in here was basically done, but this is not. Okay, so all numbers is that second argument. So it's bar line and ending numbers dot one is empty. So if there are some numbers in there, well, let's extract that. Okay, let's call this all numbers. I'll work on that name in a moment. Okay, that doesn't need to be there. I try and let types be implicit when it's possible. Okay, so we got the first event stuck in there. If we find the second thing, which is that array of events, if it's not empty, then we append that to the result with all numbers and return the whole thing. Okay, no more syntax errors. Everything should work. Okay, and now I have a little piece that's maybe reusable outside outside this class. If we ever find anything else that's doing parsing numbers with ranges and kind of by these rules, then we can pass it along and use that. Okay, but we simplified ending number parsing. All right, and I did say I was going to change the name. Oh, I guess that was all numbers. Okay, yeah. Oh, should be ending numbers. Now, wonder, I'm trying to remember how things are done, but I think you could say let event ending numbers equal bar line. Is that allowed? Yeah. That way we're peeling it apart at the front, and that is already done. Okay, so we split apart our argument because that's kind of controlled. The argument structure is a function of the parser, the grammar rules, basically. So once we get out of that domain, we're now in, I've got two things that look like useful things to me, events and numbers, and I can do what I want to with them. All right, that should work as well. Again, manual, but this one's a little simpler. All right, so rework how arguments are extracted. All right. So I'm willing to let that go for now. I'm sure you could do more. I mean, this whole grammar rule is moderately complicated. I mean, maybe more than moderately. It's pretty complicated. And it really is reflecting the complication of the input format. It just accepts a ton of stuff. But we will move on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is close this, close other tabs, try some real input. Okay, so let's do a run. And I think we'll do manual input. I can put my own stuff in, and we'll go back over here. Let's do Duck River. Okay, so here's this. I'm wondering about these ending bar lines. I'm not 100% sure we handle them the way they'd like. Okay, now notice X1, X1. That's supposed to be a unique identifier. Again, ABC is very forgiving, but I'm going to give it a new number so we can just make sure we keep track of it. I mean, they both have the same name. They're not the same instance of a tune. But I can also see they kind of, I think they wish they had made this kind of automatically generated or something like that. There's an X2. Well, we're going to name it X3. Okay, so we can relate it to 1, 2, 3 on the page. All right, so I just took an arbitrary song, John Salyer's A Fiddler from Back When. I know I've seen some recordings from maybe the 30s, and I don't even know if we handle, like I saw Q in there. Do we handle that? That looks misformed to me. Let's see what happens. Okay. Well, the good news is it found enough to extract, which is a very common for ABC. It tries to do what it can, but we found some things wrong. Okay. Line 3614 found a minus and a D. 37.7 found dash A. Okay. And unfortunately, we don't have anything that counts lines for us. Let me add that to our to-do. It's an idea, but edited tunes should have line numbers. Okay. Copte, hi, welcome. Welcome back, I should say. Okay, let's find our app. Gosh, it was 34. 10. 34. Oh no, that's not working. All right, let's pull this out into an editor that knows how to count. Who is that? Pages texted it probably. Make a new one. Okay. Well, I don't know if I can see line numbers here either. Do I have a go-to? View? Huh. Well, at least they're all on separate lines. 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 20, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we saw, what did we see? 36-D, 37-A. 34, 35, 36. Well, dash space D, there it is. Dash space D. This may have been ignored in the line after that first error, but we see the same pattern, dash space A. All right, I don't know what that means. We'll have to go to the standard. Gosh, I'm not sure what to even search for. Probably tune body. Well, I'm going to search for dash. It may take a while. Or hyphen. Okay. I don't know. To get shorter notes, divide them. Oh no, that's no dash or hyphen. We're not doing anything with clefs. Somewhere. Oh, ties. Okay, a dash is a tie. We don't handle them yet. Okay. Interesting. All right. So that gives us something to work on. Have we mentioned it yet? No. Okay, let's put musical elements. Ties. Okay, so a tie, let's see, I bet we can tell from the music. All right, so the third tune, this is in the second, I don't know what ABI. Oh, ABI is those opening notes. It's not in a measure yet. Okay, but we're looking at after the repeat, here's a tie. So normally every note gets played whenever it appears, but when you do this, you're actually saying, play this note, and then you want to hold down, basically just keep it down, or don't play a new note, just stretch out the time for it. So by itself, this would just be an eighth note. If you tie, then it attaches to a quarter note, which is worth 2 eighth notes. It's almost mathematical. So in effect, this note is held for 3 eighth notes worth of beats. And you got the same thing here. And this one is 2 eighth notes, so it's a quarter note. And this one's another 3 eighth note one. So in effect, you're stretching. It's a way to stretch the time of a note. So one way is to give it bigger values. So these are eighth notes. These are quarter notes, ball and stick. These are half notes, empty ball and a stick. Okay, so if everything divides by 2, that's fine. But this one is sort of like 3/4 of a beat. And so it's just a little odd. And you'll hear it in, the rhythms of things. I don't know if I can clap it, but something like that. But it's a hiccup or a syncopation, they call it. And it's sort of an unexpected pause or an unexpected stretching of a note. All right. So we don't have anything that can deal with that right now. And I don't even know how we would deal with it. Another program I use, you mark this one tied and it reaches back to the previous one. Here you're putting the tie right after the note, the first note in the tie. And again, this may be an event, and then we go through with a second pass. We can recognize like, oh, that note should really be stretched out, and the note before and the note after should have that same time amount on them. All right, that is both the ones that we saw on Duck River. Okay, so let's do this again. We're going to get rid of that one. And actually, I think I'll paste it in that document before I do this. Okay, let's do the Britches Full of Stitches polka. Download ABC. That sounds easy. I'm going to put this on my desktop. You won't see it. I don't even know if I'll see it. Okay, but it's Britches Full of Stitches.abc. All right, so now we can do a file load. Open file. And desktop bridges. Oh, no errors on this one. Okay. And it's good enough view that we can make some sense of it. These two versions look very similar. Yeah, I don't see any differences. Yeah, that might be one shorter. I can't quite tell. But yeah, that's very close. This one's pretty similar, but not identical. This one's shorter, trails off. This one's looking kind of different. These two look more similar to each other, very much going up, 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 up. All right, now the other thing I didn't do, which I should do to really analyze these, is quantize them. And I'll do it by quarter notes. Okay. That means there are fewer notes. Oh yeah, these look a lot more alike when you do that. This one's a little skimpier, but these two look very similar. Yeah, I mean, lots of these are very close. That's a little different. That's a little different. A little different. But pretty darn close, quantized. So again, I think that's kind of revealing with this. The problem with, if you don't quantize, then somebody that plays it with lots of little eighth notes in the middle for kind of interest, they look like they're very different, but the bones of the song, the core notes, when you quantize, that's what you get is the core notes of that. Now we have to worry about time signatures and other stuff, but just from a first look, you told me these were the same song, I would absolutely believe it. They look very, very similar. Okay, and we had no complaints from the input format, so let's find another one. Well, I don't know if it's a session. This one may be traditional tunes. Okay. One I know is Walking in the Parlor, and I know I've got about 4 or 5 different versions of that, and they're very different. Oh, these may be so different. They're Norman Edmonds. I don't even know. Okay, let's see what these are. Okay, well, he's got 3 versions there. I don't know. Let's look and see. Is there anything obviously weird? Okay, we got parentheses. I don't know if we do anything with that. And let's see if we can figure out what the parentheses do. D, F, L, E, D, D, B. D, F, L. I don't know what that Oh, is that a barline marker? Maybe it is. Okay, yeah, I think it is. The font here is a little different. Okay. D, F, E. Yeah, so notice this one, the other one was a tie. This is called a slur. It's not the same note twice, so it's just more of a playing style to kind of connect these two notes. I don't know, not enough of a fiddler to tell you what that means, but you want to sound like they're kind of connected. Yeah, I'm not even going to speculate what a fiddle player would do. But anyway, I don't suspect we handle them. And I think in this case, interestingly, the open parent is one side of the bar line. So D open parent F, and then a bar line, and then the E followed by the closing. And you can slur across a bunch of them and make kind of a phrase out of it. A little 2-bit phrase. I don't know. Walking, talking, walking in your hand, walking in the parlor, and you ain't a common man. Okay, so that's got lyrics. John Hartford from Charlie Acuff. Okay, I did learn a version from Charlie Acuff. I mean, from somebody who learned it from Charlie Acuff, I should say. And Paul Tyler, I don't even know the name. Okay, but notice this one's got lots of little 16th notes even. And this one's kind of all eighth notes. So it might be some work to get these equivalent. Yeah. All right. Well, is there an ABC I can download? That'd be sure nice. How about at the bottom of the page? Nope. But it's nice I mean, this one, they give you the link to somebody's provided the tune online. And, they've told you who it came from and who transcribed it at least. All right. Now, I don't know what happens if I just select all this. See if we can select this and cut out the non-ABC stuff. In principle, ABC shouldn't care. It says there's kind of a mode where you say, I'll just ignore anything I don't understand. It doesn't look like proper stuff. All right, so let's try that rule. Let's take care of X1. This one can be X2. And this one can be X3. I'm just putting a blank line between them and changing the numbers so each one's unique. And we'll find out if our parser really does ignore them. I don't honestly know. Okay. I think it's going to skip over lines that don't until it gets something with an X. Okay. I caught the versions. Quantized. You can see maybe some similarity here. This one doesn't look really very similar. Okay, what's the problem? Unexpected characters. Oh, minus D. Okay, that's a tie. Oka in line 36. And another tie. OCA in line 36, column 4. Well, can I just find OCA? P vocal. Oh, yeah, well. I believe that's an error in the format here. I'm pretty sure. Well, I shouldn't be too sure actually, but parts normally that's not really the way you would do that in this format. P parts. Interaction between the P and V fields. Okay. So I take it to be implying you can only use single letter names for the parts. In the tune body, you mark them A or B. Okay. The header has more flexibility. See variant endings and lyrics. Right. You really should do W, either upper or lower. So I think that's just a warning. And yeah, that number 2. Right. I think it's just a warning. It doesn't know what to do with that. Now, everything else seems okay. We're even doing these greater thans. That's good. But I think ties and slurs, maybe the next frontier for us. Okay, and maybe we'll find one more. Another tune. Well, an oldie. Oh, let's do Old Reuben. Okay, so it's, oh no, terrible. Nothing there. Old Reuben's also known as Reuben's Train or Train 45. There's an old Reuben, there's a new Reuben. Train 45 does not have a lot there. Okay, let's see what else. Reuben's Train. I don't have permission to edit the page. Well, I think that's a search page. Let's try it here. Kind of a simple song. No score. Okay, well, so much for that one. Let's pick another Irish one. Do I have a search somewhere? John Ryan. John Ryan's Polka. Okay. This was in Titanic, so you may know it from there. Dun 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 dun. Okay. I think usually we get download ABC on this site. So nice. Okay. I'll put this on my desktop. John Ryan's. We'll go back to our app. Load a file. Desktop. John Ryan's. Okay. Again, it extracted stuff, even if it had complaints. Space D, and line 131, quote D, quote. Oh, we don't handle that either. Okay, so that one is putting a chord in. You can put quote D, quote, and it should stick a D chord up here somewhere. Let's see if their notation deals with it. Yeah, there we go. They've put quote D, quote in with the notes to say, hey, there should be a chord here as well. We can add that too to our to-do. Ties, slurs, chord names there. Okay. Gosh, somewhere, one of these sites, you can just download like 100 tunes on the same page. Not original music, band repertoire, session tunes. Okay. Irish. Old time tunes. Those sound Irish to me. Oh, Stephen Foster, interesting. All right, let's see. Old time jam tunes. Download MIDI. Oh, you don't have the... Now, I don't know if Can we see? No, they may be using a plugin. Well, I don't know. I don't think that should matter. Right. Oh, another walking in the parlor. But I don't think he's... Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely a plugin. We can get the MIDI. There's probably some app out there that will take the MIDI and turn it into ABC, but I don't have it. Actually, I don't know if I have a tablet that edits. Guitar players and dulcimer players use it. It might be able to take a tune like this from MIDI, but odds are he's got the ABC somewhere, and it's a plugin that converts it to sheet music looking things and lets you select. I don't know if we can select multiple things. We can download, but we can't play. But, okay, well, that's a pity. Let's see, who else? None of these, I mean, I'm used to old time music, not so much, a bit of Irish, but not a ton. Slow players, traditional music of Englandish. Okay. Oh, Sally Gardens. Thought that was kind of Irish. Just want to see the ABC article posted in ABC format. It says ABC. They're showing this. Oh, for the ABC, click 10 penny bit. Okay. I mean, I don't see anything. It has chords. Oh, it doesn't have an X. Huh. Not a legal file. Since it ignores everything to the first X. Okay. Yeah, it didn't complain about those chords. I'm surprised. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm probably putting off the moment of dealing with ties. Let's close this. Delete. Okay. Let's go back to our standard and search for ties. Ties and slurs. Okay. General slurs. You can nest slurs. Interesting. Oh my. Okay. Now those we honestly can ignore in our application because we're not trying to reproduce sheet music or anything, and I don't think it's going to affect the notes being played. A dotted slur. A dotted tie can proceed. Right. Ties and slurs produce similar symbols, but they have completely different meanings. Two notes of the same pitch plays as a single note but that's tie. Slurs connect the first and last notes for phrasing or legato, so smooth playing. Okay. Both may be used. Right. Okay. Now, I don't know what a dotted slur is. Proceed with this. I mean, there's one with a dot at the end. If that's saying smooth until the last note or something like that, I don't know. Let's do a little research trip. Dotted slurs. Okay, I guess I'm the only one that didn't get the memo. Okay. Why this one didn't? Oh, because it's no longer there. Okay. What is a dotted slur to music? That sounds like what I want. Staccato dots. Don't. Okay. I don't know what it would mean to have one at the end and not the beginning. Let's. Different amounts. Okay, that was kind of the case they mentioned. Different syllables. This is a different input format, so it may not be relevant. Slur dotted. I want to add a dotted slur to G2G. C, D, E, F, G2G. I guess that would be sort of saying tie these together if you need them. Yeah. Oh, that is a dotted slur. Okay, I get that. I've used more, I think they call them ghost notes sometimes. I'm not sure if anybody else does, but little tiny notes, possibly in parentheses. Yeah, I mean, that's okay. That's an understandable thing. It's a dotted slur. It's a slur made out of dots, and it sort of indicates that different verses may use different numbers of syllables. Okay, so if you sing it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you're treating it as tied with the 5 and articulating 2 syllables with the 7. And I hit this actually last night. Let's see if I can find what I did. So I'm working on a song, Once There Was a Tree, and Away Down in the Valley is the name of the song. But it's the first verse is once there was a tree. So I did these ghost notes. And in the second verse, it's on that tree. So once, 2, 3, there was a tree. On that tree there, so the second verse spells them out in separate syllables. The first verse just holds the once. I don't know if this program has dotted slurs. Insert musical symbols. Those are fermatas, they're not slurs. Okay, let's close that. Insert legato. Oh, I didn't notice I could insert endings and repeats. I'm curious how that would go. Okay. Dashed slur. Let's put it in. See what happens. Oh, there it is. Okay. Undo. And let's do a repeat. Insert legato. Dash slur 32. I mean, I don't know how to say what it is. It's 3/4 note beats. Let's try that. No. the whatever kind of note that is, that's way too much. I don't know. Let's just apply it. Okay, that didn't do what I wanted. All right, well, I'm sorry. It's something to play with, I guess. You do learn things as you do this stuff. Okay, but it's a useful concept, right? However, for us, I don't think we care. If we ignored that dotted slur, that would just say play all the notes, and our quantizer would chop them down to quarter note level, and it would kind of look like it wasn't there. Now, that may be useful for somebody else. And it may be that we just need to ignore those characters or put them in as events and then ignore them on the other side. Maybe the parser can detect it, and then someday later we could come back in on the event side and do the analysis and control of it. All right. But I think our official job is going to be ties next. All right. So this is, well, exploration, let's call it. Okay, several songs. We've done that. All right. Edited tunes should have line numbers. That's another good idea for me someday. Okay. Ties. Let's move that to the top. All right. And I think just get a taste of where it's going to be involved. That's probably that note line parser again. Note line parser. Because it does all the note stuff, and which is really the body of this format. So this really is the big file. Okay, and we handle that dash, but we don't handle. Well, okay. Here's rest or note parser. It's either a rest or a note. And where's note parser? Does that come into us? Note parser comes in. Okay, let's go find that guy. Okay, note line parser makes one. Oh, well, note parser comes in. Who calls this? Note line parser, note line parser, note parser, duration parser. Okay, note parser. Okay, so the notes, they can have underscores for double flat, arrows for double sharp, and so on. Eventually get down to the letters. It's A through G or A through G, followed by commas or ticks. All right, that's one note. A tie is not a note. It's not part of a note. Okay, so let's go back here. Where's note parser used? Okay. Rest parser, note parser. Well, what's all this stuff? Bar lines. Oh, followed by a less than or greater than and optional parens. Okay. All notes parser. All right. So right now we accept but ignore slurs, which is okay for our purpose. And I can tell it's ignored. This ampersand, if there's a character to the right, it says you're keeping this stuff to the right. Okay, so we do annotations. We ignore that because there's no character on the left, and we're only going to keep decorations. Well, the next thing says we're going to ignore that and only keep the match. We're going to ignore that and only keep the rests. Now we point the other way. Keep the rests and notes, but don't keep these less than greater thans. Don't keep these matches. Okay, so a note parser. A note can be followed by a dash. Let's get their exact wording. A symbol with a dash. Symbol must be adjacent to the first note of the pair. Okay, it does not need to be adjacent to the second. Dash after it, or it's not legal. Okay. So I think what that says to me is the dash is almost treated like part of the note. And we're not going to worry about bar lines in the middle, interestingly. Okay, so you can definitely dash across a bar line. Okay. Okay, well, I think that gives us what we got to do. Something we have to detect immediately after a note. If there's a dash, then it says this is a tied note. And somehow in the reconstruction of this thing from events, we need to convert it to a note of duration past the bar line. Or if it's there, or just across to the next note if it's not a bar line. All right. I think we're due for a break. So let's take a break. Then we'll come back and add in something after a dash after one of our notes, and make sure it works with the following note and somehow makes an extra long note. All right. See you in about 3 or 4 minutes. All right. Welcome back. So I think we have the note parser. I think the approach I want to take is to say this is a trailing marker on a note, and it's going to be part of the characteristic of a note as to whether it's a normal note or a tied note. All right, so I think we can make some room for it, as they say. In note, right now notes know a rhythm, but they don't know if they're tied. Now, I don't know if is it enough to know you're tied. Tied says don't turn off when you get to the next note. Just keep going and continue it. And if it's not the same note, that's kind of a weird thing. It's a slur then. But we're saying it's a tie. Let's start with that. So I'm saying tied notes should know they're tied, and is a Boolean equals false. Okay. Well, no, I shouldn't even initialize it there. Let's add to it. Okay. This should be a do nothing. It adds an empty field, or it adds a field that's always false. Yeah. Oh, another constructor. A note from a node note. Who calls that? Let's find usages of this. Note with new rhythm. Okay, I guess I would say that should come. This is giving it a new rhythm. Everything else should be the same. And again, I think this should pass all tests. It should compile too. Okay, so give note the concept of a tied note. All right, from our end, then we want to make this parsing. Parser. Let's find note parser tests. There we go. And I'm taking these out. All right. Note. What is note? Is that the parser? Yes. Okay, so we give it note with input. Okay. I don't think I need tune parsing. Slurs are allowed. Okay. Rests are allowed. Well, I think I want to do more like note parsing, which is up here. I get a note back. All right. Note with octaves, accidentals, number slashes. All right, let's do this. I think it's going to be as simple as this. Quote, and let's add a dash on the end. And that should be note B, double sharp, tied true. So it's a complicated note. In a complicated octave, I don't even know if we care about all that, but it's a tricky test case, but I think it's doable and it should fail. Good. Should fail with tied false. Unexpected input in remaining. Okay, I'll accept that. It's a syntax error to put that dash there right now. Okay, so now note parser. Okay, flat parse this build note. Okay, duration. Where's duration? Passed in. Okay. Build note has got this messy mess, and we're going to make it worse. Well, I'm going to say there's an optional, oops, and we got to keep everything. There's an optional match of dash hyphen. Okay, that's going to mess up build note. Okay, which is going to add another tuple in. Oh, wait. So this plus character optional. Okay. Now this, we've got to add parsing it or tearing it apart. So the rhythm, and then we have a value tied. Okay. And tied is not used. I'm going to change this name. Ties. Tie. Okay. Now, well, we're adding properties of the note. Tied is true if tied is not nil. Okay. And the character is just going to be a dash, and we don't care what it really, I mean, it has no information other than whether it's there or not. All right. Is everybody happy? What's the problem here? Old message, I think. Yep. Okay, let's see if that passes. Okay. A long line, yes. I don't like having all this stuff here, but I think you need it all. And we've just made it slightly worse. Okay, should pass without complaint. Okay. Right, so now the note parser understands that dash creates a tied note. Good. Okay. All right, so this can go, it can go. I think we're back to our event to parts thing. Well, let's get to this. Okay. So the question is, for our purposes, does it matter that the note is tied? And I actually think the answer is no. Well, potentially no. The worry I have is because we're going across measures, it makes life complicated. Because like when we quantize, if a half note is there, we mark it as two quarter notes if it's quantized to quarter notes. You know, whatever's sounding at the start of it and whatever's sounding halfway through, which I believe is reasonable. Well, I guess what I should do is run some of these things through again and see if they look all right. They should stop complaining about that, at least. Okay, so open file. Now there may be other things I complain about. One of them was bridges. No complaints now. All right, let's open a different one. I don't remember the name of it. John Ryan's. Okay, he's still got something. I think he had chords. Yeah, D. But he had 2 or 3 other complaints. So we've got rid of those. And then I think we tossed everything else. Let's go get one we know has a dash in it. And that's a slur. Those are all slurs. And that's kind of complicated. One's tied, one's a slur. I don't know how they get the double. Oh, I guess that's in brackets. Huh. Yeah, so that's more of a notation thing than a real thing. Okay, what about the, I don't know, what's another one? Joe Clark. I think they would have to have that one. Okay, what do we got? Well, I guess those are probably ties. They're a little weird. Brackets, yeah. Okay. M:3, line 27. M:3 halves. Oh, so a change a meter halfway through. Let's see if we support that. What would that be? I think it should be here. Right, so you match instruction. Key change, unit change, meter change. Meter parser, pipe to event meter change. Well, you shouldn't need parentheses. But meter parser, that does need somewhere. Should be happy. Meter : 3 halves. Is it the colon? Let's see. Meter parser, parens. Meter parser, M:, numeric meter, it's 3 halves, 3/2. Numeric meter parser. Optional parent, digits, 3 plus is optional. Optional, match this, plus digits, 3/2. I don't know why that doesn't parse. Okay, well, I guess we're getting a lesson in other things. (3/2). That sounds perfectly reasonable for a meter. M:, optional spaces not used. numeric parser, optional paren. Oh, this is digits optionally separated by pluses. You can say 2 plus 3 plus 4 over 8. Okay. But 3/2 should match these digits, this slash, and these digits. And it is not. What's the error again? Unexpected characters found M:3. It's missed. Let's look at the text. M:. There's no other. That looks all right. Okay, let's take this. Okay, I believe we're done with ties. I should say that first. However, this issue is meter halfway through. Meter change in tune body is probably the proper way to say that. Okay, musical elements. And this one I would have thought worked already. Let me grab it again. Grab this line. All right, where can we, I guess we could just run it. Let's edit this text. I'm just going to take out all the extra stuff. We're going to have a meter. Oh, a key. That's the one. Okay. A part. I don't think we need to worry about parts. Done. Ooh, fell apart really quick. Found M3. Okay. Now, what's going on with that input? I think if I did this, I would still get this complaint. Yes, good. And I think I can get rid of anything after it. Well, let's leave one note. Okay, we're kind of chopping it down. M3, okay. Line 5, column 3. 1, 2, 3. There's an M. Okay. Now let's check our tests. Oh. I think I just took out parentheses. Yeah. Okay, so in our tests, we should see some M colons somewhere. How about text? I don't care about no scaling. Or that one. I really want to see tests. Okay, measured tests. No. No. Let's make it case sensitive. Well, there's an example. Okay, meter change, M:14. Well, let's make sure this, I'll just change this in place for a moment. 3/2, 3/2. This test should still pass. Okay, let's undo that. All right, meter change after bar line, meter change mid measure. Okay. We'll get a better name in a moment. Okay, the tune is, did I quit? I did. Yeah. Okay, we'll just take this line again. And we chopped everything out to here and still had the problem. And then we took out everything to the measure line. And then we took out everything here. Okay. I think it implicitly gives in the A part. There's only two measures, 0 and 1. Tune measure. Well, let's make it E, E, and A. Measure 0 is standard rhythm 32. And measure 1 should be standard. Well, do I have option for cut? Cut time. Okay, so it's 3/2, then it switches to cut, C bar. I wonder if that bar, no, complained here. Okay, let's see what this guy does. I notice there's a space before, no? Okay. 0/4. And this one is 0/4. Measure 0. Wait, this should be A for A part. Measure 0 in the A part. I'm not saying it's going to get any better, but. Okay, 3 failures. 0/4. 0/4. Okay, now this one, we checked it for 1/4. Where's parse tune? Right, there's another one. 4:3 found M:3. 0/4. I think that may indicate free meter by default. 4/3 unexpected characters found M:3. Okay, so weird. Like, what's the difference? All right, let's take the space out here and see how this one does. If it's a space, oh. I think I see what the problem is. It's an ambiguity in the grammar that bar A bar bracket is a legal bar line. Okay, this is an ABC thing. The grammar is sometimes a little ambiguous, I guess is the way to say it. It isn't really, because you could back up. It relies on backtracking in effect. If I see bar followed by bracket, that looks like two bar line characters. They're both legit bar lines. If I see an M after that, it's like, whoa, wait a minute. That bracket was not really a bracket that was part of a bar line. It's a bracket M. And that bar line should have been a single bar line. It's going to be a challenge. It's really going to be a challenge. Okay, yuck. Golly. Okay, so I think this one will fail as well. Yep. Same problem. Okay. So now I can put a better name on this. Meter change with no space after bar line. And the parsing of this is really a bar line parse. Let's find bar line. Where is bar line parsed? Could be in here. Yeah. Okay, right. So right now we just say a bar line is any of these characters, bar, bracket, bracket, or colon. But that's not good enough. If the bracket is followed by certain characters, and we'll have to figure out which ones, then it should be treated as an instruction, or whatever they call it, as a tune body something. Let's see, where can we find? I think in the section on notes, maybe. Beat bar symbols. Gosh, don't do that. And notice these brackets are being used for yet a third thing. Well, actually, and more. Dot equals G. The open bracket can come on the right. I don't know what they call those things. They're inline somethings. Okay, often desirable to change key meter, note length. Most other information fields can be used. Placing them with a square bracket. Well, it's really a letter followed by a colon. Either variance is acceptable. Well, I don't like it. You're not surprised, are you? Okay. So if we see bracket, letter, colon, first bracket. Okay, one field. So I don't understand how this is even legal. Most of it can be legally used within the body. It can be specified as inline field by placing it within square brackets. I think, well, you could have a line. This says continue lines. If you didn't have that, then this would be legal, a standalone line with that in it. I think that might be a mistake. Or maybe it's not. Maybe this is supposed to say append the next non-information field or something. Okay, so I guess what we're seeing is bracket letter colon is not a barline character. Okay, so what that means. Barline. You can have bar, bracket, colon, or open, not character, not letter. Or open letter, not colon. Jordan M., welcome. Okay, so we're in the middle of a program to compare musical tunes, and we've got a pretty complicated input format. Let's see. Not sure what the best way to show this, but it's got this notation stuff. So L means eighth note, and then this A3 slash is telling you it's 3/16 notes worth, and followed by a B for 2/16, and so on. There is a character. Well, let's find a field. Inline field. Okay. Well, what can happen? Are you gonna? Yeah, there we go. You can put bracket M colon. So M is meter. Basically, it says switch this tune to 9/8 time halfway through the line. And the problem is that bracket is allowed as a bar character. So musical notes, they have bars to mark the measures apart. You're allowed to use these two characters as a bar, but if you use the bracket followed by M colon, that should not be treated as a bar. It should be treated as some other thing, an inline field, they call it. And so right now, our parser for bars just says, give me all the bars, brackets, and colons you'd have, and I'll just keep them together. All right. And I'll just do a quick run. Others have seen it, but first time here, you get a little extra. Can I do it? Yeah. Okay, so I'll just take one we already do. We'll take this one. Birchesville Stitches is an Irish tune, and we've added this. I usually do something called quantizing, which says take the notes, and I don't care if it's eighth notes or sixteenths, beat them all out as quarter notes. So it kind of trims down the stuff. And then this pattern tells you, is the note going, bar is the same or up or down. And so this song is dun 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 dun, dun, a lot of ups and downs, and you can see them bum 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 there. It doesn't tell you the pitches; it just tells you the direction. So it's kind of sort of like a derivative, I guess you'd say. But I can see these tunes look very similar. The first, okay, that's a little different. That's a little different from the others, but in general, if you had to guess if these were basically the same tune, you'd go, yeah, pretty much looks like it. And if you're a musicologist and who cares about, the fact that there are 7 versions of Bridges Full of Stitches or 10, and what's the difference between them and why they evolve and all that stuff, you get a clue there. And then we have other kind of reports and analyses. You can play the sounds and you can sort of get across them what's the most common starting note, common second note, and you can see there's sort of like two different lines in the same column, or 2 different green marks. That tells me it's kind of like 2 different songs. They have the same general shape, but they're not the same song. And actually, if I look up here, this is 1 plus 2 plus, that's an octave up. 1, 3, 2, 3, 1 plus 3 plus 2 plus, and then it didn't quite make as common, but it's enough. So it's probably the same tune, more or less shifted up an octave, but there's variation. So we know they're not all the same. So again, a little more insight into it. Now we're buried in the roots, or in the bottom of tracking down this defect I have, that I didn't account for the fact that this is ambiguous, that bar followed by M colon is not a bar line bar. Only the first one is the vertical bar. Okay, well, we're diving into grammars and stuff like that, so you'll get you'll get the full sheep dip here, I guess you'd say. Okay, so what we're looking for then is we're going to find the place where we parse. Well, I'll put it back in the to-do. Where was I saying that? No, that was in here. It's where we parse. I was trying to say, like, here, this is, it's sort of like a regular expression, but it's a little more general. It's a grammar kind of context-free grammar, they call it. But I'm saying one of, a bar, a bracket, another bracket, or a colon, and then plus means repeat those. So one or more of these characters, and then, it turns into a bar line event. But I can't just willy-nilly use this bracket like that, because if the bracket is followed by a letter, which is followed by a colon, then it doesn't count. Okay, it should just be left out. Now, I don't know. I'm not sure what we have in the parse library to say is not. We don't really have one, do we? Let's go find match. We have a not for match. Okay. We don't have a none of. Okay, we can certainly write one. Okay, so we could say bar not character. And that might that be enough. Okay, so back here, where'd the comment go? Okay, if I saw bar character, well, that's not enough, because the character could be it could be a note, and a bar with a note is actually legal. The grammar on this thing just throws me all the time, because it was clearly not designed for this kind of parsing. It grew, originally it was just like write the notes and hey, it works, and now we've got all these capabilities. And so this bracket, you can have another situation where you say, you can put a chord in, like right, whoops, bracket CEG is a chord. And we have an example in this one. So the first two notes, E and B, they wrote them in with brackets, bracket E2, B2. And then here it's bracket E, B, bracket. Okay. Like, how are you going to know? Because you'll have to know that there's no bar following it. If you see bracket with letters, like here, this bar line should only be the inner one, the straight bar line. But E, it's not the colon that tells us, it's the fact that there's another bracket. Oh my gosh. Oh dear. Well, we're not dealing with that case yet. We're just trying to get past the M colon case. If you see, okay, I think given the standard, the fields, you can see the information fields can be used in the tune body. There's a list of those. Let's go up to the list. Okay, tune body, I, K, L, M, 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 whatever. These are the ones. And notice they don't use A, B, C, D, E, F, G because those are note names. All right. But if it's one of these, bracket with none of these. Okay. All right. I'm kind of been digging around and I think I'm ready to deal with it. Okay. So what this should be is bracket. It should be bar, bracket, no, bar, right bracket, colon, one of those, or it could be a left bracket that's not followed by one of those information field names. Okay. Now, my parser, combo extensions, all right. I have not, but I don't have a none of that corresponds to one of. So I think I need that. Well, no, a not one of is the same as a none of. Okay, I don't really need it. Alrighty. Golly. So this thing, okay, so it's gonna change. All right, I think I have another thing going on here. And then, okay, so these say things happen in sequences, and there's a lot of possibles. I think this is going to be tricky. Optional or else. Right, or else. Okay, so we have a backtracking or. This is definitely a little tricky, and the grammar is, I don't think it's literally ambiguous, but it's complicated to determine, and you have to look ahead to determine it, is the problem. Okay, so ampersand. Do we have an ampersand with backtracking? Okay, so I don't see any backtracking on this one. Or else. Let's find a use of this. Text in project, yes. All right, so you match slash followed by digits, or you match a bunch of slashes. Okay, so I could match a bracket or match a bracket followed by none of. Does that consume it? Yeah, I think that's okay. All right. All right. So we got our test case somewhere. Let's go make sure that's legit. Okay. The note line parser. Okay. So I think what I'm going to say is a bar line is, let's call it 2 or something, just to kind of set it up in parallel so I can make sure things are hanging together. Oops. So it's one of these things. Okay, except take this one out. Or it's one of bracket followed by, oh, I don't want to eat the character. Oh, this may be really a problem. Okay, I'm back in the parser thing. Check, inject. No. Peak, that's what I want. Okay, so peak takes a parser, but it doesn't, basically it matches it but ignores that input. That's what we need. Okay. Parser. Or we do one of these followed by peak of something. Peak, well, let's say peak of M for the simplest case. Peak of match M. Okay, so let's space this out so we can read it. Okay, so it is either one of these other brackets or it's match a left bracket followed by peak of match of M, which doesn't consume it. Okay. So the first one, satisfy character.target, is character. And the second one is peak, I don't know, peak. And this one's a tuple, it's a character. And peak.target, let's see what that is. Is it anything? Oh, it's peak of character. Okay, it's character. All right. Well, this is also not what I want. I want not match M. I don't know if that helps anything. Cannot convert a value of type satisfied character to expected argument type character. Not match. Match character gives a satisfied character. Not, oh, not character is by itself. Okay. Right. What's this one? Array of characters and peak of this. Okay, so I'm going to have to process this thing. Well, no, maybe my parentheses are on the wrong side. That may be more accurate. Ampersand cannot be applied. Peak. Let's see what peaks tests look like. Returns nil when it matches. Okay, that's the input. All right, if it returns nil, peak, why not? Ampersand. Oops, I want the tests, I want the class. All right. This seems like the one to me, P1 and P2. This covers P1, P1. This is a parser for something with a parser for something else. Should make an and then tuple. I guess I could just keep the left. I don't need the thing on the right. I just want to make sure it's there. Okay. Now, barline 2. Okay, so I should be able to take the rest of this and use it. Okay, let's move this down. Okay, let's not put that there. All right, so this. That matches that. That's the plus. Oh, this should pipe that. Let's kind of combine them now. Okay, so I want to take everything that looks like barline 2 kind of gets us to here. So I want to take barline 2, 2, and then I want the rest of it to be the same as this, which it should do if it's producing array of characters in there. Okay, I don't know, it'll rewrite my formatting anyway, but okay, so now I have barline 3. Barline 2 should cover the first half of this to there, and this should cover the rest. So I should be able to use barline 3 where I used barline here. Okay, so where's barline? Down here. Is that it? Okay, let's try this. Thinking too hard. Okay, woof. All right, golly. Not worrying about those yet. Okay, so this one goes away. Everything should still work. Okay, so this is really a simple bar line. And this is with the ending numbers. Okay, simple bar line followed by optional ending numbers, and then a bar line handler that pulls it all together. Okay. Okay. So this, I think, is really just bar line now. Okay, so a bar line is a simple bar line followed by some ending numbers and converted into an event by the bar line handler. Simple bar line is either one of these characters or it's a match of a bracket that does not match an M. Okay, and so note line parser tests. Let's close some of these. ABC parser test. So this one checks that it really does do the meter thing. And it found a measure. Let's put something else in here. Let's make this so this becomes measure 1 and 2. Okay. All right. I don't know. Every little piece gets so complicated. Alrighty. So this is kind of the heart or the hardest part of the parsing, the body of these things. So that is that's the parser that handles all this stuff and every variation of stuff for notes and chords and times and rhythms and ties and slurs and all of whatever musical symbols you have all show up in this method, the note line parser. Now at the bottom, it's not so bad. It's saying there's annotations, decorations, slurs, rests or notes, grace notes, optional brackets, optional parens, and then you have these key change, note length change, meter change, but they're the instructions. And in the end, it's either notes, an inline field, or bar line, and followed by optional spaces, and converts all that stuff into the notes, the whole event stream of this thing. Okay. Boy, that was hard to do. I'm sure it was hard to follow. Make inline fields for meter distinguished from, so this is distinguished from bar as a barline character. Okay, now we just did am, so we'll have to do a bit more. And here is let's add instead of meter here, let's do L colon. Okay. Bracket. Oops. A. Okay. So the meter, I don't think the measure one doesn't matter. Well, let's find another one. I want to find one that doesn't get in my way. M K colon. Okay, let's do that. K colon G. Measure one dot. Measure one sub 0 dot key dot as note. No. Tune.measure. Let's go to measure. I believe it's got subscript. Yeah, subscript is a symbol. I don't know how I get to symbol to note. Pitch. Rhythm. I can tell from the rhythm. Oh no. Description, actually, we'll do it, won't it? Debug description. Not the best thing to use in tests, but okay. I expect A with some stuff, and somewhere it's key of G. I don't know how it writes that. We will see. It's not going to parse because K colon is not in our list. Okay, yeah. All right. Let's go back here. Okay, peak, it's not M. Let's say not. Takes a parser. Oh, it takes a character. Let's add a none of. None of characters in a set of characters. Satisfy character. And we want not characters contains the character we look at, right? Okay, so if characters contains one of the ones we're looking at, then it's a match, but we want a none of. So let's flip this. Peak none of. It's got to be an array. And I'm willing to Well, let's see if we can find an M. This list may exist already somewhere. Yeah. Well, that's not really the right list. One character decorations. HLM. H. No. This is different. IKLMM. IKLMM. Just going to list capital N, PQRR, PQRR, UV. Is that upper U? UV. Okay. This list does not match that. This is all the M's. It probably is in this somehow. Not really. IKLMM and PQ. It's a different list. Okay. We may pull it into a constant. Let's do that. Well, let's see if it works, and then let's do it. So the test failed. It should succeed now. Yeah, we'll deal with you later. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's completely... All right. G. Let's make sure about measure 0 too. Measure 0, his note description should be E, key of C, I think by default. Okay, and again, this will fail because the spelling's wrong, but it should be the right thing. E, okay, E5, yeah. E5, bracket 1/8 G. G and parens. Okay, so I should switch the key to something else. Let's go to key of A. So this is probably A5, A4, 1/8 A. Okay. Let's commit that. All right, so we've make bracket only a barline. If carline's a word, but barline isn't, come on. If not one of the info field characters. And it's actually this one. Make that only a barline if it's not one of the info field characters. Okay. And these are inline info field names. Info field letters, I guess. Okay, inline info field letters. Let's pull this out. Inline info field letters. Okay. Okay. We still have those. 120 characters or less. That looks like 4 lines, none of which are 120 characters to me, so I think that warning will go away. Closure parameter position violation. Okay, fine. Jars in. I think we should probably format it like that, honestly. Or maybe even that. Okay, I think that's good. Where did I do that? All right. So we've covered this case now. Okay. Actually, let's call this info field. After bracket bar line. Okay. I guess let's say left bracket followed by info field is part of info field, not part of bar line. And I don't know, I'm kind of inconsistent about my naming. But when I get situations, I want to really break out the sort of state and then the result as kind of separate little mini phrases. But I'm happy with that. Okay, fix defect where info field is treated as part of a bar line because it starts with bracket. Really, I still don't know what a car line is. Bar line. Okay. Let's mark our to-do. Meter change in tune body should not treat its opening bracket as part of a bar line. Now, slurs, we handle in the sense that we ignore them, so I'll just make a note of that. Ignore slurs. They don't affect our analysis. Okay, if you're doing a printing program or a performance program, you would probably care about those, but we the most we do is just play the notes so you can get the sense of the tune. We're not trying to make a real performance. And then I think next time we'll tackle these chord names. They come in quotes. Again, we can ignore them. They're sort of extra information for somebody, but we're caring about the tunes, not the chords. Usually the chords are added in later, so it's even less important from the kind of analysis we're doing. All right, thanks for joining today, especially get a couple of new people, or fairly new. And next time will be tomorrow is Wednesday, 1 to 3:30 p.m. 2 to 4:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, or 6 to 8:30 p.m. UTC. And we'll go from there. Thanks for joining. Take care. Bye-bye.